We're going to be now talking about the web UI, which also has great improvements. Okay, so I'll give you the relay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ja, tack. Så. Den där behöver vi inte. So, hi everyone. Let's see if we get... perfect. Hi. My name is Edvin Olofsson. I'm one of the software engineers working in the NSO WebUI team. Today I want to show you a little bit about everything with the WebUI. We're doing a lot of work, so it's going to be hard to pinpoint a single topic, so I'll touch a little bit on everything. I'm actually going to be stealing one of Conny's examples, the MPLS VPN vRouter demo, so that can also be found on the documentation that she recently showed. I really want to highlight the work we're doing with aligning with Cisco brand and products. So we're using the magnetic design system to make it really nice and crisp for your WebUI experience. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of the NSO WebUI and a lot of the things that are outside the WebUI that you maybe don't even see. But first, I'm just going to say that I've been working with NSO WebUI since 2016. Can anyone guess what NSO version came out in this year? Any guess? I can take 4 as an acceptable answer. Also, that was there's a couple of different releases, right? My first release was actually 4.2, if I remember correctly. It's some time ago. One more interaction. Internet Explorer 6. Does anyone have a guess on when this one came out? Quite a while ago. Come on. 2011? No. Older? One more. Oh, sorry? No. We got to go even further back. 2001. I can bind this together with what Conny said about bad documentation and do a short story here about we had a customer come to us and say, hey, our WebUI is breaking, it doesn't work. They come with us with Internet Explorer 6. We're thinking maybe you should upgrade. But unfortunately, the documentation on much on our end as well, right? Just said we're supporting Internet Explorer. No version, no dates or anything. So we kind of got into a pickle here. I keep it short and say there was a happy ending to the story, but we realized we needed to take documentation a bit more serious here. So thanks, Conny, a lot for all the work you're doing. Being a new guy on the block, I got tasked with finding an intermittent test case, which we all know is so fun. I wasn't an expert at this time, and the supporting infrastructure was maybe lacking. So maybe I'm exaggerating, but it felt like a week I was just staring at a test, like looking at it, but oh, I saw something. Maybe that was it. Really trying to figure out what was breaking our test cases. These days, this is all automated. Like we get videos, screenshots, statistics of intermittent test cases, how they're doing last few weeks or not. So a big shout out to the test team we have. They really help us improve our daily lives. Also, I'm not sure if you're all working in Scrum, but I think the rough idea for Scrum is 2 weeks. Can anyone guess how long our longest Scrum was, like back in the day? Any guess? No, not a year, not that bad. But it was almost at the same level of not great work of Scrum. But I wanted to bring this up as the WebUI has gone through a lot of improvements, not just with how we work with the WebUI, but these days we have a proper Scrum, right? We know what we're doing. We have nice, concise meetings, straight to the point, and actually make some progress. So I just wanted to a little bit highlight on the history of the behind the scenes for more from my personal journey, but also from the WebUI's perspective. There's a lot of things that improves that maybe you don't even see. But I am going to show you some things that you can see, and this is, I don't know exactly what this release was. We found it in some old, on some old laptops. But this is basically just a div and some default input boxes, right? This is as rudimentary as it gets. Some improvements later for 4.3. I'm not sure exactly what year we're talking about now, maybe at the end of 2016 or 2017. But at least you have like lists and you can do commits, you see you have alarms. So there was at least something resembling a decent WebUI back in the day. And also this lovely compliance report. I still think you can do a compliance report in the HTML format, but of course, I'm a WebUI guy. I'm going to show you how you do it much better. Enough history. So today I'm going to quickly go through the example. If you go to a new example and you don't know what's going on, I'm going to go through what kind of devices we have, some packages and services, and see how they're all behaving in the system. I'm going to touch a little bit on configuration, alarms, installing package, and deploying services. So I'm trying to touch a little bit about everything so you can see how the WebUI behaves. I really want to highlight show floor. So directly after this, I'm going to be at the show floor with my team. So any questions, feedback, thoughts, like all that stuff, we're really looking forward to get that feedback. It's been mentioned before by a previous speaker that feedback is important, and that's really important. We want feedback, right? So come meet us. Great, demo time. So now I'll request the HDMI to be changed. Perfect timing. So let's see, I'm a little bit worried about the size of the fonts and everything, so let me know if it's too small. So, logging into the WebUI, first it's just some notification about last login, so hello? Turning on the mouse helps. Let's go ahead and dismiss that. But okay, so first we need to know like what kind of devices do we have in the system. That can easily be navigated to here. Let's go into devices, and we get a list showing a couple of devices. This is only 8, so it's a small little demo we have. And of course, we want to know, are they in sync? That's an important thing. So I can just select all here and choose an action to perform, do check sync. We're going to see here that we have a few devices that are out of sync, the CE0 and CE3. So, okay, cool. What happens then? Then NSO is going to produce us some alarms. So we see here both in the list, we have an alarm icon, and we also see it up here in the header. So that's automatically populated, right? If there's an alarm in the system, you get it up in the bell or here in the device list. For this case, I'm just going to use the link here, click on it, which shows me the alarm manager. Here we can see a bunch of different filters. Since I used the link from devices into alarms, we see that we have pre-populated some search field. It's also saved in the URL if you want to bookmark or stuff like that. All the filters behave like that. You can, in all the lists, you can do all the filtering and then save it in the URL like that. Also these summary cards I can clear here, but all these summary cards are also clickable so you can interact with them. But I only care about my 2 alarms here. So just to demonstrate, I'm just going to select a few here. Set alarm handling state. I can do, I think my scroll is broken on this mouse. Maybe it got busted in travels. Investigation, cool. On it was. Cool. So then the alarms are marked with that state, right? So I'm just going to go and fix them. So I select the 2 alarms, the 2 devices, C0, C3. I can do a sync 2. All happy, nice. Now we see the alarm disappeared, both here in the alarm column, but also up in the bell, right? There are no active alarms. And we see, going back to the alarms application, that there is cleared. So now we can go set another handling state. I can do closed, fixed, it was. So now we have 2 different states on the alarms. since Conny did a nice presentation about documentation, I can highlight the link here. So if you have a bunch of different alarm types, you don't really understand what the alarm is, you can use the link to go to the documentation's alarm page. We also have up in the header here online documentation. It also takes you to that GitHub page if remembering the URL was too cumbersome. But going on. So we have these alarms, they have some states on them. I want to see the details of them. So I can actually click on the blue here, the blue indicating clickable. So alarm type. I see a bunch of details of the alarm, right? We can also see the tabs here, status changes, like what happened with the alarm. You can filter if it's a really large alarm with a lot of things happening. Same for our alarm handling state. You can filter here, do a bunch of things. But I will first highlight just a compress action, how that would work. So you can compress an alarm, a bunch of text describing what it does, but I'm just going to show you like this, that it compresses the alarm to only show the latest change, right? Both in changes and in alarm handling. Cool. Finally, since I'm all happy with these alarms, I fixed the issues, my devices are in sync, I can go ahead and purge. That's this button. So there's a bunch of settings here, but I'm going to keep it short and just do clear the alarms, that is closed. Purge. Nice. Now my alarms are fixed. I can feel confident that my devices are in sync and all happy in the world. Next up is services, right? What services do I have in the system? So when you go to services application, first you need to select a service type you're interested in or service point. So looking in the system, I'm missing the L3 VPN service, right? So I'm going to install that. I haven't done that. So hovering on the tools here, I can go into packages, and it shows us one of our newest additions is the package application. Here you will see a list of all the packages you have in your system, if they're up and running and status and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and install the L3 VPN. Click on the add button. And the first step is, of course, uploading them to the system. I'm going to go ahead and select 4 here, actually. I'm not sure if it's easily readable, but the first one says invalid corrupt code. So it's a package that is valid in structure, but it's going to break later on, right? Next one says invalid no extension. That means we can, before it's even uploaded at all, we can verify, is this a valid tarball object or not? This is not that, that's just a random file, so that's not going to be allowed to be uploaded at all. So I can just go ahead and delete that. And the later is just going to show what happens. So now I'm trying to upload them to NSO. You see some nice progress bars, and oops, this one broke. So we also verify that on the upload step, there is verification that this package would not run at all. So we flag it and don't allow it to be uploaded. So I'll delete this from my model and carry on with my upload process. Going forward here, we have install modal. So you can, we decided to not select this before, so we really want to be explicit with what you install so you don't do any mistakes. But I'll go ahead and select all my packages and go ahead and install them. There's more actions here, right? Options. So replace package of already existing if you need that, or allow NSO mismatch. But when I install, that worked great, right? They are now in the system, but the reload marked as reload required. They're not yet actually loaded in the system. They're not running. And foreshadowing here, invalid corrupt code. I guess you can understand what's going to happen here. So reload packages, you have some settings here that you can use. The force and dry run, I guess, are one of the cool things. But when I do the reload here, so this is the part in the presentation that I either need to do a joke, or I need to like get the audience up and running and like do some jumping jacks and stuff like that. But I couldn't really decide on either, so we don't do either. Was that a joke? Perfect. No, but we can see there's some error, right? So we want to highlight the trace. You see C trace, that's the source of truth. So I'm going down here and see some of the packages are loaded correctly, but of course, invalid corrupt code package did not load at all. It's broken. So that failed, and there is now in an error state. So let's see, like, okay, I have a broken package. What's going on with that? Same here. I can click on the blue link, and that's going to open up the packages details page. Here I can see all the metadata you have in your package. This is automatically generated from the backend depending on what kind of package you have. Of course, here it just says the error occurred during startup in main. It's a busted package. I don't care about it. I could uninstall it and do another reload, but that's just going to take time. I think you understand that it's a broken package. Right, so I'm not going to touch that, but of course you can uninstall it. You can also use the ... here on the side to view details or uninstall and check what's happening. But I'll just carry on. So going back to services, we can now see that the L3VPN service point is here. So I can select it, but another, we have no data. So I'm going to go back to the configuration editor, commit manager, where we allow the user to upload XML files. Here you have to use your imagination a bit. This is one of the older applications we have, so it's not yet converted into the new magnetic style system, so cover your eyes a bit. I'll just go straight into the modal here, so where you can load files. So I'm just going to choose my XML here, initial data, the one XML to rule them all, cool. How many of you upload XML files with 4 rows? Perfect time for a silent cough. I think no one. I can promise you we'll make this bigger in next iterations. We're work in progress, but not yet. But I'll just go ahead and load this XML file. You can see there's data here. We're going to keep this functionality, right? So you can see it, if you want it in the config view or changes view, or no, of course also native config if you want to see what's going to happen on the device. I'm not going to linger too much on this. All right, you can also see the number of changes you have in your active transaction up here in the header. So if you have changes going on, you can see them here and hey, you need to go and commit these. I'm just going to go ahead and commit these as I'm all happy with them. Worked great. And now finally we can go into the service manager and actually see that we have a serviced instance, right? Cool, so blue, I can click on it. Just to super quickly show you the details page of our service application. So in the details page, you can see stuff like modify devices, modify services. What is this service actually touching on? You can click on these and get some information about devices and services. I'm going to show you the log page. Of course, this is a newly installed service, so there's no log messages, but it would be here if something had happened to the service. We also have a nice plan component. Just to actually show things moving, I'm going to quickly undeploy this, go away, and redeploy it. So you can see that a lot of our components are actually connected with the backend and updates continuously in the background, so you don't have to do anything. You can see it update. So that's some cool stuff we have with the NSO services details page. Okay, so now we kind of know we have some devices, we have a small little service going in our system, we know our packages, they're doing okay. The last thing I'm going to show you is regarding compliance, but compliance, I want to break stuff first, right? So I'm just going to go into devices here and show you that we're going to focus on the CE1 and the CE4. So I expand these. And we can see that auth group is default on both of these. I can also do this in the cogwheel up here on the right. I can do the auth group. So now I have that extra column. Since I'm zoomed in a bit now, it's going to be out of bounds here, but you can just scroll. So now we see that these have CE1 and CE4 have default auth groups. I'm going to use the ... here to go into one of our main applications, the configuration editor. This is also, of course, the older style, work in progress. It's going to be great. I'm just going to, of course, I need to create it first, right? So I'm going to change the auth group here, but I haven't created it, sorry. I go back to devices and go into the tabs here. We have device management, we have device groups, and we have auth groups. We support SNMP as well, but I'm not going to touch on SNMP. It's very much the same structure as the regular groups. So here I'm going to create something with a creative name, Fubob. So now we're on a details page of the auth group, right? So here you can see a bit some config about the name. You can see the default map. You have a list of users. I'm just going to keep it very simple and just go straight to default map and configure some small data here. So remote name, Kalle is a fancy Swedish name. Password, Cisco 123. Security is important. I spelled it correctly, cool. So I'm gonna save that. Now I'm gonna change the devices to these new auth groups. I'm gonna go back to devices, but oops, unchanged changes. I forgot to commit this. So what we do is in a lot of the details pages, like these auth groups, and also, for example, in the device group details page, we have this local transactions. You see there's no changes up in the header, but this is stored locally in a small transaction. So any changes you do in this view is going to be contained, and you can commit them and handle them separately. So what I need to do is up here on the right, that's the same style for other detailed pages. You have the create button. So you create, and now they're actually committed, right? So there's a small difference there between a local transaction and the global. So now we actually have the auth groups. So I'll go here, we see CE1, I can go to configure, and I'm just gonna quickly change these to FOBOB. I'll go up one level and go to CE4, FOBOB. And now you see the rocket updated. This is the global transaction handle. We can see that I have some changes. Now you get to close your eyes because I'm going to do something in the background. So what happened there? Let's say that you end up in the case where you're doing some changes and someone else is doing changes at the same time in some other session, right? What happens then is you might end up with conflicts. So what happened was that in the little bash script I deleted the CE4 device. So now when I try to commit, I'm going to end up in a non-resolvable state. So this is also something we handle in the WebUI, that you need to fix this. This is broken, NSO can't fix it by itself. So I'm going to reapply my changes. Of course, I get some errors because I'm trying to update data on the CE4 device, which does no longer exist. So I can go back to devices and just delete it. I no longer want you, go away. So also a short note here, we have commit changes directly, skip commit manager. This is also something you can do. If you have a bunch of global changes and you're like, oops, I just want to quickly delete this list item. A lot of our list has this commit directly, and that would be also creating a local commit, local transaction, and just commit it directly without going through the commit manager if you really want to go things faster. For example, here it says devices CE4, so I know exactly what that would mean if I commit it directly. But I want it in my global transaction, so I just go ahead and delete it. Boom. Cool. So now we can see that I have a small change that I'm changing the auth group of CE1 to FOBOB. And I commit that. Of course, you have all the commit options, as have been talked about in the previous presentations, but I'll just go ahead and commit it. Great, now we're ready to touch on compliance. So I'll hover here on tools and go to compliance report. Of course, compliance can be quite, you can do a lot of the things, but I'm just gonna show you a super tiny little report. First, I'm gonna mention this common DB. So that's a setting, is just true or false, but it's how the reports are stored in the database to enable historic results, which I'm going to show you later. But the default it's true. Just know it's there, right? Devices I did like this. So we have some devices, and for the groups, this is all devices in the system, but I just wanted to highlight that you have this granularity in the system. Scrolling down, I see I also have a small compliance template. It's just a little template with some data just to actually populate the thing. Going to services, I was lazy and just clicked all services. Nice. So run this report. I'm going to just name it run 1 because I'm creative. This is fast, so no jokes. Cool. So now I'm going into the results then. So I have only one result here, run 1. I can look at it, and it's going to look like this, much better than that initial HTML export, right? So up here, we start from top to bottom. We see we're not compliant. Lots of things are broken. We all have the one report, okay? We have some details. You can see the report name, exact dates and stuff like this, number of devices, number of services. Result overview also highlights that percentage-wise and nice charts. I'm going to ignore services altogether. I'm only interested in the devices right now. So I'm going to scroll down a bit and see. I have some compliance template. Also, I'm really interested in that. I'm just going to focus on the sync status. And of course, we have an error on CE1 as we broke it earlier. So I click on view details and we see, oh, local remote password not authenticated. Cool. So super quickly go back to, you see here, the alarm is also highlighted again because it failed to connect, right? But I'll quickly go into configuration editor again and change it to the default. So now we're repaired it, so to speak. Commit it. Tools. I can go here directly into the results page now. Oops, I did not want to do that. Now I'm back to the report, and I can do here and run it again. I'm just so creative, calling it run report 2. So now we see that we actually have 2 reports, right? So I'm going to click on the second one. Going from top to bottom again, we can see now that we have multiple reports to choose from. As I mentioned earlier, they're saved in the database so we can have historic results. We can see now that we have actually improved one of the devices. They went from 4 to 3. And we also get some nice graphs now. Of course, this is the simplest graph you can have. You have 2 data points. You have the first one here on the left, tiny blue dot. This would be much better if you had a large data set running weeks or months. And also here on the right, you see the other data point, which is my current report. You can click on this if you want to show different reports. So this was the first one. I have 4 non-compliant devices. I click on the right one. This is the most recent, 3 non-compliant devices. And you also see the red line of my services. They're just flatlining at the bottom here. You can also select a time period here. Last 30 days is default, but you can have pretty much any date range you want. And yeah, of course, my device is now in sync. It's been fixed. Last but not least, I'm going to show you that you can export this to the beautiful PDF format. So all your managers will be able to read it nice and easy. So you get this PDF with all the data I just showed you in a nice format. Print it, save it, send it in an email, all good. So I think that was it. I see I'm having quite a bit of time left, but I touched a little bit on everything on the WebUI. There's a lot of things you can do. I brushed over a lot of details, but yeah, if you want to talk more, feedback, thoughts, questions, love to see you at the booth. It would be great to see you there. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. That's a great progress we made over the years. And actually, we got already some feedback for you that came through Slido. And that's a great point. We can use also Slido to bring feedback. And actually, it's a good point, correct? The operator said that the sync to and the sync from are too close.
Okay.
So they're afraid to write the wrong one. Of course, you can always run policies or an AACM to make sure that they have the authority to do both. But in any case, it looks like yeah, they're too close in the in the click.
I think it sounds like a super minor thing, but we can have meetings about this internally, right? That
it is not minor if you click the wrong one.
Exactly.
For sure.
So it is an important feedback. So thank you for the question.
Yeah. Now the next one is about the Northbound API. How you communicate from the from that NSO UI to the backend.
Yeah, so we rely pretty much solely on the JSON RPC to interact with NSO. So all the data fetching, setting and getting data is all through JSON RPC, which also is available in the documentation. If you go to it and search, you can do whatever you want.
So when you did the upload of packages, or that is also JSON RPC?
I think those exact call points, I think, are with outside JSON RPC. I'm not sure internal mechanics there.
Mainly JSON RPC.
Yeah, mainly like 99% is JSON RPC.
All right. And now there's a very important one. You know, can developers contribute their own React or Angular component to the web UIs to customize some view, to create their own applications?
Yeah.
Is there a plugin?
Unfortunately, we don't have SDKs. We have thought about it, so it's a great feedback. We know about the potential there. But what we do allow is if you have a package that has a WebUI component within it, you can just load it as normal, and it would actually show up here. I think it shows up here under tools. I think you get your own view, so you can.
I think we're now sharing the screen. I don't know if we can go back to the demo screen on stage. There you go.
Thank you very much. Exactly. So if you have a package with a WebUI component, I think we populated here underneath compliance reporting and tools, so you can just have it your own custom WebUI inside our application hub, which means you have access to your custom build, but also devices, configuration editor, commit manager, and all that stuff. So. And
do we have an example of a WebUI component in the example folder? Yep. There is an example there.
Check with Connie or the development pages, online documentation. There is examples.
There is an example. Yep. All right. And then there was a last question that we had. Yeah, we just loaded that. How package deploy works in the environment? So you mentioned that probably it's not through JSON RPCs. Right? To deploy the actual package, the package is copied from the UI into the folder. Correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, in HA. So the question is in HA when you have multiple NSO.
Exactly. Great. So the package application is aware if that's the case. So then we just modify the reload button to open a different kind of modal where you can have all the HA settings.
Okay.
So this is not HA. So if you have an HA application, it will be taken care of. When you
change the UI rendering.
Yeah. So when I click reload, this modal will have some slight changes, right? Showing like, hey, you're now doing an HA sync 2 as well, so distributing all the packages. So it will be shown here in the model.
Fantastic. And you will know if it is 2 or 3 nodes.
Yeah, you can see we have an entire HA application. Tools HA. So here we can show all the HA stuff you need. But of course, this is not an HA example, but it's here.
Fantastic. So I think I covered it all. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We are ahead of time. Okay.